event today. Today is the kickoff of the Polaris Launchpad Hackathon, following upon the Frontier Launchpad Hackathon that took place in 2021. Very excited to be able to introduce a variety of individuals today who are going to be sharing a little bit more about what the goals and objectives for this hackathon are, and kind of talk about how the community is building upon the lessons that were learned from the first hackathon that took place after the launch of N3. So to kick off today's live stream, I don't think we need to give too many introductions for our first guest. We have Da-Hong Fei to talk about, to provide an opening speech for the hackathon. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Hong Fei and ask him to take it away.
Thank you, Dylan, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Hong Fei. I'm the founder of NEO. Today, I'll do a very quick introduction about NEO and Web3, the relationship between NEO and Web3, and why we're doing this Polaris Launchpad Hackathon. So first of all, what is Web3? I believe, a lot of us believe that Web3 is the new iteration of the traditional Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. And Web 2.0 simply replaces those Web 1.0 websites, and Web 3 will be the new generation to replace all of those old generation, old-fashioned websites. But actually, indeed, my understanding of Web 3 is quite different from the, let's say, traditional wisdom. I think Web 3 is not a new iteration. Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, they just they're just innovations at different layer of the internet technology stack. So the more correct the correct diagram respond to my understanding will be the Web 1.0 will be at the content level. So like websites like Baidu or Yahoo, they're doing those at content level innovations. And Web 2.0 are doing innovations at platform level. So they organize content creators and content consumers together through a platform, and the platform are usually also a market that people can do transactions. But Web3 are targeting at different tech stack. It's targeting at the lower tech stack at the protocol level. Traditionally, the internet works on TCP/IP and many other set of other internet protocols. But those protocols has most of their technology or operation rules built inside of the protocol. But the business and finance rules are off the system. But at Web3, most of those innovators are trying to utilize the blockchain technology to have a all-in-one protocol for the internet to do digital asset transactions, to do value transfers, to do all sorts of things. So Web3 is not a replacement of Web 1 or Web 2, but rather a innovation attacking at different level, a deeper level. And we even see projects like Helium, they're doing at hardware internet level. So that's my understanding of Web 3.0. And let's move to the next page. So we've spent the last 3 years doing intensively building new N3. And now N3 is finally ready. And we have launched the mainnet, and the mainnet had been running stably for a couple of months. I believe for the NEO, I can confidently say that NEO is one of the best infrastructure to do Web3 development. There are several strengths that NEO possesses. The first of all is smart contract. NEO has a very different smart contract system comparing to Ethereum. We can let developers to develop smart contract in C#, in Go language, in Python, in Java, and many other traditional languages that developers are familiar with. So that's one of the strengths of NEO. And NEO also have a so-called one block finality, which is really suitable for finance, for DeFi usage. And with NEO N3, we also have many new modules or new functionalities. There are 4 major new functionalities I'd like to mention here. The first one will be NEO ID, a self-sovereign decentralized identity system. You can use it in a decentralized way, but you can also use it in a similar way comparing to traditional PKI system. And the second feature is called NEO FS. NEO FS is a built-in module for NEO network to provide persistent storage for smart contracts. So you don't need to save your data on other blockchains like Filecoin or a Weave. With NEO N3, you can do it just on the NEO network. And we also have, NEO N3 also have Oracle functionality. So your smart contracts can seamlessly interact with traditional Web 2.0 applications. You can fetch any URL data with the Oracle feature. And the last feature will be NEO name service, which is very similar to the Ethereum name service. So you can register your NEO name with with NNS. And NEO N3 also has the best-in-class tooling ready. We have a very detailed documentation. We have lots of plugins, lots of modules that you can use with traditional development IDEs, including Visual Studio. So the development experience is really superb with NEO N3. And the last feature that I'd like to mention is the interoperability of NEO N3. NEO N3 can be interoperated with many other blockchains, including Ethereum, Bitcoin, and you can name all the other blockchains that we support. So NEO N3 is really ready for Web3 developers. And the next slide, please. So to build NEO N3, we spent quite a long time. We spent the last 3 years to develop day and night, led by Eric and other core developers. And in the last year, we are mostly doing N3 migration. The token migration had been finished. I will say halfway. 70%, around 70% of NEO tokens had been migrated from NEO legacy to NEO N3. And now the on-chain governance had been working really well. We have 28 council candidates. We have in total 36 million votes have been casted regarding NEO governance, and the APY for the voting is somewhere between 10 to 30%. And the network had been running smoothly for a couple of months, and there are more than 20 different decentralized applications deployed on NEO N3. And we have all the many NFT and new NEP70 tokens already minted on the N3 network. And last year, 2021, we did a hackathon called Frontier Launchpad. There are many very good projects emerged from that hackathon event. And I will say it's a very successful hackathon. So this is why we are doing a similar hackathon this year. The next, but all of this are not done just by NEO Foundation or NGD alone. It is contributed it's a joint effort from our global community in all the continents in the world. Next slide, please. So last but not least, let's get back to this year's Polaris Launchpad. There will be up to $500K for the global hackathon prize. And we will dedicate to help the participants of this hackathon to have hands-on workshops, to do one-on-one consultation, and we will also deliver business masterclasses. And besides of the 500K prizes, we also have a $200 million new eco grants ready to support those projects that we think are a good addition to the new N3 network. So this is my introduction about Web3 and NEO, and also the Polaris Launchpad hackathon. Let me get back the microphone to Dylan.
Thank you for introducing the event, Hongfei. It's always great to be able to hear you talk about NEO, especially as we've watched the mainnet grow from legacy to N3, building off of the great international developer community we have. So once again, thank you for the opening speech and kind of providing a general overview of where we came from and where we're at right now and what will be happening with Polaris. Next, we'll be hearing from Stephen Liu, who has had various different roles in the NEO ecosystem, dating back to 2018 when he joined the ecosystem. He's currently head of development at NEO Global Development, a technologist at the NEO Foundation, and has had his hand in a lot of different projects and technologies that the everyday user has used when accessing NEO. Most recently, he helped develop and release the Gleader gas station app. So I would like to introduce Stephen and have him take it away.
Okay, thanks, Dylan. Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen, and I'm the head of NGD development team. Here I am introduce some new technology stacks and N3 features. Okay, next slide, Dylan. Okay, so I think N3 mainnet is already launched half a year, and a lot of developers and great projects already launched as well. So on N3, you already noticed that we have introduced a lot of features. So most important of these are the native contracts. And the native contracts have been developed so far are two native tokens, the NEO token and gas token. And the other ones are manifest system, governance system, and Oracle system. So compared with NEO legacy, we change our NEO and gas token to be a native token. The native contract. The native contract is different as before. The code is written directly in the native code rather than running in NEO VM. It's much faster and can be used by the developers directly. So before, when we use UTXO model in NEO legacy, when developers want to integrate the NEO and gas token in the dApps, it's very difficult. But now with the native contract, all the dApps and the developers can utilize these APIs and the functions directly. And in these subsystems, the Oracle system is very important. So on N3, if a developer or a smart contract wants to get data out of the NEO blockchain, want to get some data out of the system, like some real world price data, it can be used by our Oracle's native contract directly to get some internet resource access. That's our native contract, which is a very important feature for N3. Okay, then maybe next one. Okay, NeoFS. I think Da already mentioned it. We have a distributed decentralized file storage, object storage network called NeoFS. It's developed by Neo SPCC team. And this one provides users and the developers a complete decentralized object storage function. And all the users and all the DApps can have complete control and store their data on the file storage system. Instead of putting some large scale file into the blockchain with some redundant or very big scale data with very high price gas, the NeoFS provides this utility for the DApps, can let the DApp developers just put the business logic into the smart contract, but all the utility data into the NeoFS. And also the NeoFS can be used as a content delivery network. All the users can rent out their storage as a part of the NeoFS in return for NeoGas. Or on the other side, they can use the storage service by the network by paying gas. Okay, next one. Okay, next one is the NeoID. We developed the NeoID together with Swisscom blockchain for several years, and now NeoID is kind of a tool or library that can be used by the DApps and the developers to leverage the self-sovereign identity capabilities, and the NeoID to allow users to control their own data and identities, and can decide what they want to share with the DApp and who they want to share this data with. And for DApp and wallet developers, they can use the NeoID libraries and some templates to implement to store and manage their credentials. And also DApp developers are very welcome to join the NeoID framework to improve more. Next, the next one. Next one, okay, it's interoperability. So Neo has, N3 has integrates a lot of cryptography libraries to support the cross-chain ability with Poly network together. And Neo blockchain is also a founding member of Poly network. And we use Poly network to enable Neo blockchain can interoperate and can do cross-chain transactions with all the other blockchains like Ethereum and BSC, Heco, Zilliqa, Switcho, all these different heterogeneous or homogeneous chains. So all the DApps and the developers on the new N3 network, they can not only do the digital asset cross-chain, they can also do arbitrary message exchange. So all the developers can appeal other users from other network to landing on Neo network and play with all their assets on Neo N3 network. I think these are just several very important features and some technical stacks that the developers can be used during their development on N3. And that's my all my shares. And I will give back my micro to Dylan. Thanks.
Great, thanks for taking us through a lot of the great different modules and pieces of the N3 tech stack that have really helped us stand out as an all-in-one blockchain. And hopefully the developers who are coming into the Polaris Launchpad can integrate into their projects and also show really great, unique, innovative ways to use identity and distributed storage and all these great features that have been built over the past few years and hardened as the N3 mainnet has been live since the middle of the year last year. So thanks for walking us through that, Stephen. Next, we're going to introduce Catherine Liu, who's going to be sharing some ideas for projects that we might want to see in the Polaris Hackathon. Catherine joins the NGD team as a business development manager in June of last year. And beforehand, she worked at Citigroup and really became inspired by the blockchain ecosystem as a whole when communicating and interacting with the Blockchain Association at Duke University. So I'm really excited to have first met Catherine and also B, to introduce her to the NEO community. And Catherine, please share a little bit more about what kind of project ideas that NGD would like to see in the Polaris Hackathon. You're on mute.
Thank you, Dylan. Everybody, hi. This is Catherine. Nice to meet you all outside the community chat and Twitter. So before I dig further into what NEO is looking for this hackathon, I just wanted to state that one of the goals of the Polaris NEO Hackathon for you devs is to simply offer a perfect place and time to build what you really need and to see where the ideas can lead us to. There's no need to follow the trendy and fancy ideas and terminology, but only build something you truly want and you truly vision. So if I am here to build, it is very clear to me, I am not building a baby for NEO, but I am building a baby for myself, a Catherine baby who living happily and voluntarily in a NEO metaverse. So of course, the goal of my role as a BD manager here is to cheer you the best brains in this coming spectacular 3 months with as much financial support as we can offer from foundation. It ranges from $500,000 US until June and $200 million US in the following 2 years. And also bringing back the community love, as NEO is an OG crypto community since 2014, and there is so much love and passion for the developers. So back to the deck, I listed 6 topics that is considering winning projects for the 500K, which are DeFi, on-chain aggregator, explorer, metaverse infrastructure, middleware components, IDO or IGO platforms, and cross-chain app. As we all know, NEO is a layer 1 blockchain, and we have so many possibilities and interoperabilities. So do not think inside box, but think outside box. All the crypto adopters, as I know, are great thinkers. So the list here is only an easy and quick reference for you. The $500K for the winner this June will be the ones who think outside box and the ones who brings a truly scalable and sustainable and supplementary and somewhere controversial projects to the NEO community. So the only boundary for this hackathon is actually no boundary. So let us just adventure in this open-minded, unboundless, timeless NEO Minecraft. And I'm already foreseeing so many interesting projects, and feel free to DM me on Twitter at Catherine Lucy, and truly looking forward to you with the biggest prize in this June. Thank you, Dylan.
Thanks, Catherine. Thanks for a quick overview of the type of ideas that we just want to seed for developers. And really, as Catherine points out, your imagination is unlimited in the things that we can do with NEO N3, as this technology is really just starting to become more amalgamated as we move forward. So lastly, our final presentation for the day is from Dean Jeffs, the founder of NEO News Today. He founded NNT in 2017 and has had an instrumental role in helping to share any video or audio that you might have seen from a NEO event dating back to DevCon 1 or to the NEO Community Assembly, or even just making sure that we put out the best content at NEO News Today. So I would like to introduce Dean to the NEO community and ask him to take his presentation away.
Thanks, Dylan. First off, I just want to say I've been a bit sick the last few days, so I'm going to do my best not to cough or sneeze during this presentation. That's why I've had my camera off so far. So bear with me if I have to mute for a second. Awesome. So yeah, I'm going to take you through the structure of the Polaris Launchpad, the different phases, how the whole event is set up, and what the purpose of each phase is. So Dylan, if you could move on to the next slide for me. Right, so the Launchpad has 3 phases. It starts with the Planathon. Submissions open for the Planathon today. That will run through April 5th. Then there is the hackathon, which is pretty self-explanatory. That's where you go ahead and build stuff. Submissions for the hackathon begin on April 12th, and that will run through May 9th. And then we have the Polaris Plus, which is a quadratic funding event, which is a new addition to the Launchpad. And that will run from June 8th through till June 21st. And you can also see there when the prizes and awards will be announced for each of the phases. So I'll go into a little bit more detail in what these different phases entail when we get to that part, but they're the three main parts of the Launchpad. So there are 5 tracks or categories that you can choose to build and be judged against. I think most of these are pretty self-explanatory: DeFi, NFT, metaverse, infrastructure, DAO in general. A couple of things I will note. The infrastructure one of the things that we're looking for primarily with that is projects that use NeoFS and oracles. Very, very interested in that. Obviously, you're not limited to that, but that's an area of interest. And then with general, that seems a little bit vague, but it's basically anything that touches the Neo blockchain that doesn't really fit into these other categories. So it might be another dApp that uses smart contracts, or maybe some kind of explorer or something else we haven't imagined yet. So you can choose to be judged in more than one category. I think that's completely reasonable. You may have a DeFi project that uses NFTs, or maybe you have a metaverse game that has a really interesting DAO. So you don't have to select which categories you want to be judged against until you actually submit your final project. But these are the 5 categories that will represent the 5 grand prizes. And if you move on to the next slide for us, Dylan, these are what the grand prizes are. So as has been mentioned, there is an overall $500,000 prize pool for this event. Now, each category has its own $35,000 grand prize, and that amount is subject to rise based on multipliers, which I'll expand upon shortly. And then in addition to the grand prizes, there are also 15 excellence awards, and they're $8,000 each. And the excellence awards will be awarded regardless of category. That's across all the categories. And one of those will also be reserved for students. So if you're studying, there is a special excellence award set aside for you guys as well. So they're the main cash prizes for the hackathon portion. Move on. There are a couple of additional prizes as well. So if you win a grand prize, you will receive entry into the Neo EcoBoost program, where you'll receive incubation and additional funding support. So, things like marketing support, networking, all those kinds of things. You'll also get entry into the Polaris Plus event, where you'll have a chance to win, to get more prize money based on what the community likes. And then if you are an Excellence Award winner, you will get a 1-hour consultation with Neo Eco Growth. And this is actually really valuable. There are a number of projects last year that won excellence awards that went on to be part of the Eco Growth program. So I think To the Moon and HumSwap were examples of that. So the Eco Growth team will sit down with you, and they will discuss your project with you, what your goals are, what your needs are, and find a way to help you, move forward and, progress through your goals. And the Excellence Award winners will also be invited into the Polaris Plus event as well. One other thing to note is that you may if you don't win a grand prize and an Excellence Award, you still may be invited to Polaris Plus if your project is really good. So overall, there's 20 cash prizes, and we're hoping that there's many more than 20 projects that are worthy of moving on to Polaris Plus. So, next slide. All right, so the planathon. Now, the planathon is really here to help you set yourself up to succeed, right? There's a couple of reasons why we made this the first phase of the event, both in the Frontier Launchpad and now in the Polaris Launchpad. And it came from things that we'd seen in other hackathons, both that Neo had done in years gone by and other projects that have done. And one of those things was often you would see projects that dive into it and they start building, and then they put all this time and effort into energy into this idea. And then halfway through, they find out that, you know what, this project is actually not suitable for blockchain for one reason or another. So it's just wasted time and energy. Another thing is that sometimes, you jump in, you get excited and you get started, and then you find out that blockchain actually can't do what it is that you thought it was going to be able to do to help you with your project as well. So by making your plan up front and getting some feedback on that, we can hopefully avoid some of those issues and help get you on the right path and really set you up to be able to build something that's going to be really valuable and useful and is going to work out. I think another thing is that we really want to put an emphasis on projects that want to build beyond the hackathon, right? There are some people who come to hackathons and they just want to, build something awesome just to get that final prize, and that's it. Kind of wash their hands of the project and it'd be done. I got my cash prize. I'm good. And that's, that has its place. That's cool. We do want the interesting code examples and stuff, and I don't want to discourage people from participating if that's how they want to approach this. But really, what we want, I think, both from I think I speak for NGD, the NGD team, but for me speaking for the NEO community, is we really want projects who and developers who want to come and build for the long term, right? So creating a plan and starting to think through what it is you want to build today and what you want to build tomorrow. Is it really that's where we want to place the emphasis, right, where we can. So some of the things that you want to think about in your plan is how does your project make best use of the NEO blockchain? What is your intended architecture? What modules and tools? What's your stack going to look like? What problems do you intend to solve? So what user needs are you meeting? Is there a need for this? And is there a need for this? It doesn't make sense to do this on blockchain. What do you plan to deliver by the end of the hackathon, right? So set yourself some realistic goals. Essentially, if you start today, you've got about 8 weeks to build this thing, right? So what can you do by the end of the hackathon? By putting those sorts of things in your plan and being judged against what you plan to deliver, could be very beneficial to you in the judging phase of the hackathon. So be realistic, set realistic goals. Set ambitious goals, but let's be realistic about what it is you can achieve. Rome wasn't built in a day. We understand that, right? Who is in your team? It might just be you today. Maybe there's a couple of you. Maybe you're going to need an extra few developers if you're going to take your project to the next level. Think about those things. That kind of ties into this next point. What are your goals post hackathon? So what do you want to do after the event? What comes next? Do you want to build on your MVP? Are you going to need to go out and acquire 1,000 test users? Are you going to need VC funding? What sorts of things? What are your goals after this event? We want to know what you're looking at down the road. And then things like, who is your target audience? How do you plan to acquire users and things like that? So what's going to happen is you'll submit your plans for the planathon, and it will be reviewed by the judges and NGD, and multipliers will be awarded. These multipliers are from 1.1x to 1.5x, and they will be applied to the final prize. If you win a final prize, that will be applied to the amount that you win. So if you win the $35,000 grand prize and you get a 1.5x multiplier, you'll actually win, I think, $52,000, something like that, if my maths is right. So it's quite substantial. And in the Frontier Launchpad, I think the participants of the planathon saw their overall prize increase by an average of about 42%. So it's quite substantial, and it's very worth doing. And every submission, every planathon submission will receive at the very least some short written feedback. Don't expect an essay, but a few notes saying what NEO liked about your plan, or maybe some things, point out some things that maybe wouldn't work, so you can adjust, right, to have a better chance of winning a final prize in the end. But yeah, so that's really the point of the planathon. Let's be prepared. Let's think ahead. Let's put our cards on the table and try and make sure we're building something that's going to be really useful and we're really well prepared to do. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much there. Move on to the next slide for me, Dylan. So the next phase is the hackathon. So pretty obvious, right? This is where you build stuff. So there's a few things you're going to want to keep in mind for your hackathon submissions. You're going to want to provide a GitHub link with the source code along with a link to a live demo. If you're going to want to have your smart contracts deployed to the N3 testnet, if that's applicable. So some projects may not have a smart contract. Maybe if you built a developer tool or something like that, you might not have a smart contract, but that's okay. All code must be open source and Apache 2.0. And you also need to include a short link introducing your app and demonstrating its functionality, right? A short video, and this doesn't need to be some massive production, just a video of your screen, clicking through, explaining what the different features do, maybe explaining a little bit of the rationale, and then just upload it to YouTube and, provide a link there. It can be, it doesn't have to, it can be an unlisted link, just something simple. So, the judges can watch it and get an idea of what it is you've built. So that's the hackathon. Next slide. So Polaris Plus is a new addition to the Launchpad. Basically, in this phase, we want to give the community a chance to show which projects they want to support and which projects they want to see move forward. So the community members are going to be able to vote through funding the projects with gas, and NEO is going to match that funding through quadratic means to a minimum of $57,500. Now, the reason we say a minimum $57,500 is because the overall prize pool for the Polaris Launchpad is $500,000. Now, if you add up all the prizes that we showed earlier, the 5 grand prizes, and then the excellence awards, and add the maximum multiplier to all of them of 1.5, the total prize money comes out to, I think, $442,500. Now, I think it's obvious that not every single project that wins an award is going to get a 1.5x multiplier. So there's going to be some money left over there. Anything that's any money from that allocation that is not distributed via hackathon prizes will be redistributed to Polaris Plus. So this 57,500 will increase, could go to 70, 80,000, and that's all going to be distributed via this phase here. So like I said earlier, every project that wins a prize will be eligible for Polaris Plus. High quality projects that didn't win a prize will also be admitted to this phase of the event as well. And then the NEO community can vote with their gas, essentially funding the projects. NEO will match the funding, and this is just an extra way for the community to get involved and for the different projects to get a little bit more funding to help them achieve their goals. Next slide. And here's a few links that you're going to want to know if you want to get started in this event. So polaris.neo.org is the event website. There's all the links you'll need on this site. There's also information on upcoming panels and workshops and things like that. So make sure you go to that website there. That will be updated as workshops and stuff are added. The dev post link, so neo-polaris.devpost.com. This is where the actual registration of the event will occur. There is where you will submit your entries. And it's also where, sorry, I lost my train of thought. You submit your entries, and that's also where some communication and stuff will be sent over off that platform as well. So you'll get messages in your inbox, regarding upcoming deadlines and things like that too. Developers.neo.org. So this is a brand new developer portal that has documentation, tutorials, tooling resources, things like that. So if you want to get started, that's a great place to find educational resources and things like that. Be sure to check that out. And of course, the NEO Discord, where you can get support from ecosystem developers, guys that have been around a long time, many of which who built the tools that you will be using. And to quote my first grade teacher, the only silly question is the one you don't ask, right? So I think if you spoke to any of the Frontier Launchpad participants, they will tell you how valuable the support you can get in the NEO Discord is. The NEO developer community is very motivated to help you and very friendly. So don't be afraid to get on there, introduce yourself, reach out if you need assistance, and someone will come around and answer your question and help you. And just do the best they can to help you succeed. So I think overall, the most important thing is to have fun with this. We want to see everyone having fun. NEO is a fun community and a fun platform to build on. So I can't wait to see what everyone comes out with from this event. So I think they're the end of my slides.
Awesome. Thanks, Dean. Yeah, a lot of the projects that came out of the first hackathon, there was that element of just being able to explore and enjoy what was available. Even the projects that didn't receive incubation support, they were all really interesting to kind of follow along. And of course, we have on NEO's YouTube an overview of the previous projects from the Frontier Launchpad Hackathon. And of course, we'll be doing the same thing for the projects that come from the Polaris Hackathon. So now for this part of the presentation, we're going to be doing a question and answer session. The folks on the call have been doing a great job of fielding questions from across multiple social media. So please bear with us as we try and aggregate all the questions. But the first one that arose is, why did the name of the hackathon be called Polaris? So for the Frontier Launchpad, we knew that this was the beginning of N3's development, and we really wanted to focus on taking off and the first hackathon serving as a springboard. But now we're a year into N3, roughly a year in, and the second hackathon is called Polaris. So why did we go with the name Polaris?
So I think I can field that one. So, it's a subtle metaphor. Like you mentioned, the Frontier Launchpad, the reason, I guess, start with Frontier, that was called the Frontier Launchpad, is because N3 was brand new, right? I think we hadn't even launched mainnet, if I'm correct, when we launched the Frontier Launchpad. So the developers who participated in that event were really on the new frontier. They were using all these tools that the community had been building for the last, 18 months to 2 years for the first time. Everything was being used for the first time. So it was really a new frontier. They were the first explorers, and they were going to, run into issues that no one else had encountered yet. I think when it came to Polaris, we wanted to sort of carry on. There was a space motif a little bit to the VI of the Frontier Launchpad, and we wanted to carry that through. And Polaris is really like a guiding star, the Northstar that explorers would use to find their way. And we thought that was a nice soft metaphor for the Polaris Launchpad. We've kind of taken off, and now we want to provide this kind of guiding light to the next sorts of projects that we want to see arrive on NEO. So that's the meaning behind Polaris. I guess don't overthink it, but that's kind of the metaphor there. We wanted to provide a new way for people to sort of find their way into the ecosystem, find their way to projects that they might enjoy building, and that the NEO community would love to see show up as well. So hopefully that answers the question.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really just, for the astronauts that launched off in the Launchpad, Polaris is now the guiding star to kind of help keep moving forward. So this is, this could be a whole podcast episode of itself. It could be a very long session for answering this question, but let's just, for all intents and purposes, assume that somebody watching this live cast right now is really just starting to explore different blockchain ecosystems. And maybe somebody could help share what makes NEO more competitive, or something different to look on top of building, as opposed to maybe Ethereum or Solana or Cardano or all these various other smart contract platforms. So if somebody's interested in exploring their first blockchain, why might they want to build on NEO for this event? And maybe I'll just put somebody on the spot if nobody starts answering.
Hey. Hello, Dylan.
Catherine.
Yeah, I'm here to answer these questions. So I'm pretty excited that NEO is mentioned all along. A lot of interesting and thriving layer ones. And NEO is, as you know, one of the first blockchain layer one in this field. And so speaking of the competitive edge and advantage, I think the core to this chain is an all-in-one facility, meaning we have so many native modules, including what Uncle Dai just said. We have the native Oracle where you do not need the chain link as Ether did, and we also have the native file storage which is a good supplement to Filecoin and Arweave. Already built on Neo. So as a developer, you can use easily these toolkits for you to build a very easy D app even with the language you are most familiar with. For now, Neo supported 7 to 8 computing languages, including Python, Golang, Java, and all the community members who has already know one language can join and build something interesting here. And also, speaking of the ecosystem, Neo is also very competitive because we have a lot of community developers and contributors all over the world, including COZ and the distinguished Neo News Today here and NGD, where everyone can give you help and assistance because we have been in this field for so long time and we build up so much protocol that is meaningful to this industry. And the third reason I want to point it out is we are actually a chain powered with interoperability. We are not standing alone, but we can, instead of that, we can interact with all kinds of chains. We have this eco partners called Polygon Network, which enable you to have a cross-chain app with 22 blockchains now today. And we already have over 20 billion US dollars assets transmitting all over the chains. So it is like a great project we are building with together with all the layer 1 blockchains. So what you build here is not only with Neo, but with all the crypto world. And last of all, I want to point out that Neo is a very efficient and cheap chain, meaning the gas here is really, really low. For our Neo Council, we had this decision, very important decision last September to cut down the gas fee to 1/5 of the original. So this means so lot to the new users to making it even a fun and much cheaper playground for all of you. According to one of the survey, they're with one Neo gas, which is around $5 USD today, you can mint 150. You can store 150 NFT on Neo chain, which is spectacular. And even more fun, you can have your own Neo name service. So in the future, you can have like me, Catherine.neo as your address book, and you can seamlessly and play happily in this Web3 metaverse. So I think there is a lot of knowledge out there for layer 1, but I'm pretty sure the all-in-one blockchain in this field will be the only with us, with Neo. And I'm so excited. I see a lot of faces familiar on the YouTube channel, and some of them are very experienced developers, and some of them have already attended a lot of hackathon. And with this experience, I'm sure you will find how easy and efficient to build a D app with us. Yeah, Dylan, with
Awesome.
that, giving it back to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It's always nice to be able to hear about a lot of the native features that are new to N3 that are being built off of years of experience. So having a native distributed storage network, native identity, and native Oracle network can really help developers plug and play in the all-in-one solution. And then it's also great to really tout that through Poly Network, Neo is an interoperable blockchain that can communicate cross-chain. So please don't let any limitations hold you back. There's so many different opportunities that can be done both intrinsically and extrinsically when it comes to the Neo blockchain. So specifically for the purposes of this hackathon, as we know, blockchain is an open source oriented philosophy. So when developing code and providing a submission, will the code need to be Apache 2.0 for the source code, or will the MIT license work as well? And maybe I'll put you on the podium here, Stephen. What kind of code needs to be uploaded for the hackathon? Can it be Apache 2.0, MIT, any other standard?
You mean what license they have to use?
Yeah.
I think MIT and Apache 2.0 are both okay. Yeah, I think most open source licenses are applied to our hackathon if they want to open source it.
Perfect. I'm not sure who on the panel is the best to answer this question, but NEO recently announced a permission chain called Jiquan chain in collaboration with BSN. So will there be any tracks or projects that have a specific orientation that focus on permission versus non-permission chain, permissionless rather? Or is this kind of an area that's open for anybody to contribute in any way they see fit?
Is there any? I think it's better for me to take this question. Yeah, yes, indeed, that NEO is working with BSN to develop a permissioned network or permissioned blockchain within China, and it will be a manageable blockchain. That means the administrator of the blockchain have some special ability to manage the content on the blockchain according to the Chinese law. The first application will be NFT applications. So there will likely be some NFT issuers on the Zhouquan permissioned blockchain, and those NFT will be specified. It will be only transactionable within China to Chinese users only. We are trying to explore the possibility to develop the Web3, but also abiding the Chinese law. I would say it's for now it's very experimental, but let's see what will happen with the launch of the first batch of NFT on the Zhouquan permission blockchain.
Awesome, thanks. And while we have you on the line, Hongfei, I think this is a question that gets brought up for almost every hackathon I've ever witnessed, but you know, hackathons aren't just for developers. There are other people who can get involved as well. So maybe could you share with us a message to people who maybe don't know how to code? Should they be interested in getting involved in the hackathon, and in what ways could they be able to participate?
Definitely. Myself is a good example. I do have some coding experience, but in no sense I'm a professional developer. I came across Bitcoin in 2011, and then I started to organize seminars or meetups within the blockchain community. And I also attended many meetups, hackathons, and seminars. And then eventually I met Eric, and we decided to do something different together. And then we invented Nshares, and now it's rebranded as NEO. So I would say if you don't have professional coding ability, or maybe no coding ability at all, you are still, if you have some business sense, if you are really interested in the directions that the internet are evolving into, then you definitely should attend those events, those campaigns, and see what you can do.
Awesome. And you know, I myself am not a coder developer. I worked for governments before I had this job with Neo News Today. And something I've noticed over the years, and this is for anybody out there who is good at communicating, technical documentation or just documentation in general is something that's really hard for folks who are on the front lines coding and developing. So if you're able to communicate with others and accurately describe or write down the processes that they're going through, there is also a lot of value for people who are able to not write code, but just write in general. So don't let your coding ability or non-ability be something that might hamper you, because there's a lot of opportunity out there for individuals who know how to listen and know how to convey the thought process that developers are going through, because this type of documentation is really helpful for people who are new to a blockchain or to a new ecosystem when they first discover Neo. So something that I think is really cool about this new hackathon is the introduction of Polaris Plus. And maybe Dean, I can pull you up to answer this. Why is the hackathon implementing DoraHacks and DoraHacks' quadratic funding formula for the third bonus round of the hackathon?
Sure, I'll answer that in a sec. I just want to make one more point on that last question. As I mentioned, the actual registration and submissions and everything of the hackathon is being run on DevPost. And on DevPost, it has the facility to, when you create your account, to say what your skills are, and if you're looking for a team, right? So if you're not a developer, maybe you're a designer, you're a lawyer, you're a writer, you got whatever skill set it might be, you can register for the hackathon, you can put down what your skills are, you can mark yourself as looking for a team, and then you might be able to connect with someone who needs exactly what you offer and work with them. So I echo what you and Dar said. Even if you're not a developer, this whole space is not just run by developers, right? It's a people space. It's not a developer space. Everyone has a role to play. So do register and do that. Your question, Dylan, was about DoraHacks. Why are we adding the Polaris Plus? I think it's pretty simple, right? Neo is a community-led project. It always has been, and I think it always will be. As a community, because the organization of this event is a community effort. We want to let the token holders have a say in who's rewarded, who wins prizes, right? So making those connections, giving them a reason to also go and try the different hackathon projects, even though a lot of them will still be in their early stage, right? Go test it, choose what you like, support them, build those relationships with the developers and the projects early. I think it's a nice value add on to the event. And then it's not just the folks on high judging which is the best project. It's everyone saying these are the projects we want to see succeed moving forward, and we're going to prove that to you by essentially putting our money where our mouth is, I guess, is how I would put it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, definitely. And I want to hold you on for this next one as well. But one of the reasons that the quadratic funding opportunity is so great, because it's really a way to democratize your vote. So while I might be, a small gas token holder, whoever I do vote on, there will be a higher weight that's placed on my vote because of the funding that's been matched, so that my voice can just be heard more, even though I'm not a huge whale. But moving forward, I wish John Devidas was on the call for this, because he's always talking about the 20 million developers around the world. But how is Neo Global Development reaching out to developers to market the event? And are there any avenues that are going after maybe non-blockchain developers?
Yeah, so I know that NGD is speaking with a range of universities to bring students into the fray that are working in computer science courses and things like that. There's also a number of initiatives to outreach and marketing on the event as well that are underway. We're on day one, right? So we've got a lot of that to roll out. But yeah, there is a a number of initiatives going on, number of conversations being had to try and get those developers and pull them in to this event for sure.
Awesome. I'm not seeing any more questions that have been posted in any of the media that we're looking across. So I guess maybe we can end this Q&A session with a call to action. So today is March 7th. The Polaris Hackathon officially kicks off today with the Planathon phase. So maybe we can just end this opening ceremony with a call to action. What should developers who are interested do today, right after they watch this video, to get involved in the hackathon? What's the first step?
Go and register on the dev post is definitely the first step, I think.
Awesome. Well, yeah, all you have to do is have an idea, and the opportunity is right at your fingertips, and just go to dev post.
I'll tack onto that. Also, immediately after, go and join the NEO Discord and introduce yourself and start getting to know the folks there. That will be the next thing.
Absolutely. And I think to kind of round this out, there is a NEO developer portal that has all sorts of information for developers who are interested in building on top of NEO. As we've mentioned, the NEO VM compiles a lot of different languages, so you don't need to be a specific developer. You don't have to code in a specific language. And what we noticed overwhelmingly from the first hackathon was that in the NEO Discord, there is always somebody there to either answer your question or point you in the right direction. The NEO community is filled to the brim with folks who have been building here for years, and even the folks who have joined recently have brought a very specific subject matter expertise and a vision for what it is they would like to build. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask in the NEO Discord. There's likely somebody there who's asked that question before you and can point you into the right direction. So I want to thank everybody who was on the call today: Hong Fei, Stephen, Catherine, Dean, and really all of you who are watching this right now. You know, NEO is a global community, and a community is only as strong as the people who participate in it. And what we saw with the last hackathon was the introduction of so many great and talented minds who hadn't built on the NEO blockchain before, and some of whom hadn't even built in blockchain ever. So I'm excited to see a lot of the great projects that are going to be popping up over the next 3 months. And with this new prize package and opportunities for incubation, there really is potential for long-term support. And anyone who's watching this right now could be building the next great killer dApp on NEO, and we just haven't seen it yet. So thank you everybody for participating today. Thank you everybody for watching, listening, asking questions. And if you have any questions at all, go to the NEO Discord. And of course, we'll be providing coverage as the hackathon progresses at NEO News Today. So once again, thank you everybody for joining. It was an honor and a pleasure to MC this event.
Thanks, Dylan.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dylan.
Dylan, for hosting.
Thanks, everyone.
Uru.
Bye.
Awesome. I think, Sam, we can stop live streaming now.
Yes, stop now. Thank you, Dylan.
Awesome. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
I think it's still recording.